Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is PENSDOWN, the program that gets journalists talking about their journalism journey. On this platform, the journalists become the news rather than the reporters of the news. My guest today is a print journalist with a background in arts and tourism. She's currently a senior reporter with Graphic Showbiz, the longest and most authoritative newspaper on the art and entertainment in Ghana. And it is one of the newspaper brands of the Graphic Communications Group, which has the Daily Graphic as its flagship newspaper. She formerly worked with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation as a national service person and thereafter moved to the Catalyst newspaper as an assistant editor before becoming a reporter on schedule for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. In 2011, she worked with the Weekend Final and later joined the Graphic Showbiz in 2013. She has been there till date. She is a product of the Ghana Institute of Journalism. She is a lover of music, fashion, tourism, and the arts, and hopes to become an entertainment lawyer one day. My guests this morning, my very first female guest, I'm really excited about this, is Gifty Owusu-Amoah. Welcome.
Thank
good morning.
you.
Right.
Good morning.
You want to become an entertainment lawyer one day.
Yes.
Wow, that is interesting. A lot of journalists love to take to law at a certain point. We just hope that once you become a lawyer or an entertainment lawyer, you will not entirely abandon your reporting.
I'm not sure I'll do that. I'm not sure I'll do that because reporting is my first love. And it's because of the love that I have for the sector that I report on. That's the whole reason why I want to go into law, because I realized that there are so many loopholes when it comes to legal education on the part of our celebrities, or should I say renowned personalities, especially in terms of contracts and that stuff. So, but somebody who is being on that field, a reporter, that I realized that if I could use my background in law, I could help the sector. So it's not because I want to abandon journalism. It's just to support and strengthen my work.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you make the decision to become a journalist? What informed that decision? Was it a personal choice? Was it a passion you followed? Was it imposed on you by parents? Was it a consensus between parents and yourself? Or you took inspiration from some veteran journalists whom you followed while growing up?
Okay. First of all, my daddy is a writer.
Okay.
So I grew up seeing my daddy do lots of write-ups, and he encouraged me. So I realized that I had the flair for writing at a very young age, because my daddy would want to take a lot of essays for me to read. So because my daddy was a civil servant, so he used to come home with Mirror and Daily Graphic and the Spectator. And I used to read a lot of the columnists, like in Spectator, there was Merari Alomele. I think later I met him at Spectator, but he's late now. I used to read a lot of the columns. Exactly. And then the Mirror, there was is it Nanama advices and short stories. So I used to read them. So I think that there was like I grew up with it. So after school, I was supposed to get I had admission at Tech, but I didn't like the course that I was offered, religion or something. So I told my daddy that I'm interested in journalism. Like I had the flair, so I wanted to go into journalism. And he said, why not? So I should, if I have, he knows that I have the skills, so I should just give it a try. So that was how I got into journalism.
Wow. How easy was it to get admission? GIJ has always been competitive. Were you blessed? Were you favored?
Maybe I should say that I was favored, because I know that GIJ, we have the normal admissions and sometimes we have protocol. So I got admission, and I think the protocol list, I made it as well. So when I went for the interview, I was asked why I had 2 admissions. And I said I didn't know my daddy worked on protocol, because I had normal admission. I was admitted because by my results and scores, I qualified for admission. But I think that my daddy also worked behind the scenes for protocols. So I was on both lists.
Oh,
So I'm not sure
I,
I had any difficulty.
I see. And how was your time on campus? The studies, the program, the internships, and trying to meet up all the requirements to graduate and come up out as a journalist. How was it? Was it smooth? Were there challenges? Was there a breaking point? Was there a time you said, I thought I could do this, but it looks like now I'm exhausted?
Okay. I think that's my first, I did diploma first before I went to do my top up. I think that's my first semester. It was quite difficult for me sitting through lectures for, during our time in SS, when you complete school, you wait for a year. It's not like this current couple of students that right after exams, they go, you would wait a year before. So I had started home. And so when I went back to school, you would sit through lectures for like how many hours? And then sometimes it gets tiring, and I wasn't used to it. And the truth of the matter was that I was in class with people who were professionals. So they had an understanding of what was happening. And I was just from SS. I think we were just few people from SS back then. I think now they have more young people. We were just few people back then. So it was quite confusing for me at that time. But I think after first semester, I got used to it. But what was difficult, I think we're doing about 10 subjects. So it was quite difficult from the beginning, but I think I adjusted it. Maybe my brain and my body got adjusted to it. So I did well. Even though my first semester wasn't too impressive.
How was it being in class with people who already had field experience? Was that intimidating, or to you was an advantage?
Well, maybe in first semester it was quite intimidating to know that you are in class with people who were already on the field, in the field of what you wanted to be, and you were learning the same things. But I think my first semester results wasn't that bad, and I think that I had few of them that I compared my results with. I think I did better than them. So I was like, well, it's not about just being on the field, it's academics. Teachers our lecturers are presenting us with the same thing. So it doesn't matter whether you are already on the field or you are a newbie, that you are studying to be a professional journalist. So I think that's what encouraged me to work hard.
All right. Now let's look at your love for the arts, the tourism sector, and the entertainment industry. You will be dealing with a lot of celebrities and all these overhyped personalities. How do you handle that? How do you handle that? Are there times you get starstruck, such that, wow, so this person, they've been mentioning his name today, here am I, in flesh and blood, right in front of him? Are there times you got so starstruck that by the time you left the person, maybe certain critical questions you should have asked for your report, you couldn't ask just because the excitement took the better part of you?
I'm not sure I had any, because like I said earlier, when on campus, we were already there with people who were big names like KOG. You saw some of the media celebs, okay? So then you are used to people like that. But I think what was quite interesting was that growing up, maybe for some celebs, like maybe you see Sonny Badu, you appreciate him, you like him, you admire him, you would see Otchere Kwame, he's your favorite rapper. And then you get on the field, you interview them, and they become maybe like Otchere Kwame, he becomes a regular friend you chat with on a normal day. Not Star Trek, but I think that is giving me the opportunity to relate to people that otherwise I wouldn't have had the opportunity to relate to. So I meet them and like, maybe like you said, maybe overhyped. I can't say whether it's overhyped. It's just that sometimes because of what they do, they're supposed to brand themselves in a particular way. But I don't think that I was starstruck, just that I admire them. And when I meet them, those that I admire, I tell them that when I was growing up, I used to admire you a lot. I try to build a very solid relationship with them. So that's the experience.
Okay, so let's look at your time from, where did you do your internship?
I did my internship, my first internship, I did it at National Accreditation Board.
Okay.
And then from National Accreditation Board, I did my internship at GBC Radio. That was for my first semester, exactly. Then I came back again to GBC for my service. So that was, so for media, GBC was my first experience. It gave me my first experience in media practice. Yeah.
Were you also doing things related to arts, tourism, and at GBC? Was that your focus?
No, as for the arts and tourism, I don't know whether I should call it coincidence or fate or what. Because when I was at Times, I was on, I used to cover for disasters and all that. That's what I was doing. So I think there was one guy, Stephen, he was, we had this session for weekend, we call it weekend times. He was handling, but he was our court reporter as well. So there were times that he had challenges. So the news editor at the time, Mr. Jim McCauley, he died last year, his late last year. He called me one day and told me that, oh, looking at me, he thought that I would be somebody who had interest in the arts. So he would encourage me to assist him, that is Stephen, Ifa, to assist him to work on the entertainment pages for the newspaper on Saturday. So what we're doing is that on Friday, he sends me the materials. Since he was a senior, he sends me the materials, and then I work on them. The way he comes to edit and then represent it to the news desk. So that was how it started. But eventually, he was so caught up in the cost things that he couldn't have time for the entertainment. So my news editor at the time encouraged me to take full responsibility of it. So that was how I got into arts and entertainment. So I was doing more of arts and entertainment. So it was through that a friend of mine told me that that time the current Minister of Tourism, Dr. Ibrahim Awal, he had established a newspaper brand, and he was coming up with an arts and entertainment. And they had one person, and they needed another reporter to support the editor. So she recommended me, and so that was how I got into arts and entertainment. So I started from there, and I told one of my bosses there that I would want to write for graphic showbiz one day, and I made a move, and so that's how I started my arts and entertainment report.
Okay, so when this opportunity came at Times for you to start or for you to take the arts and entertainment, was it really something you loved or you have learned on the job?
No, it wasn't something I had learned on the job, but I loved the arts and entertainment. So I remember that I used to read Spectator Rates. I used to read graphic showbiz a lot. Even after secondary school, that's what I used to do. So I used to read them a lot. So my editor realized, he knew that I loved reading about them and reading about our celebrities. He knew that. And so most of the time when he wanted information about what's happening or trending, he mostly asked me. So when he realized that I had the flair for the arts, or maybe should I say the creative arts, he asked me, and I said, why not? I could give it a try. So that was how it started. And I fell in love with it. So when the opportunity came at Weekend Finder, I decided to do that. So
what influenced your decision to begin to nurse the idea of pursuing law to eventually become an entertainment lawyer?
Okay. So I've been for writing on the arts. I've been writing on the arts for like 9 years, maybe from 10, maybe 11 years. And I've had a number of encounters many encounters with some of our celebrities and artists. One of the things that I have realized is that because most of the artists, when they come up, they need somebody to help them. So maybe they find a friend. So they tell them, okay, let's do this. Like, let's start this movement. So they start without any proper contract. Then eventually, maybe the music ambitions grow. So the brand becomes bigger than what the friend can handle. And then it turns into a conflict of interest, because now you think that you want to move on from the one who started with you, thinks that I have every right to be with you now because I started with you. And so because there is no contract, there's always this bit of issues and all that. Apart from that, some of our celebrities too normally come out to say that they were made to sign contracts that they didn't understand. So in the event that they want to leave the record label, they come up with these contracts that they signed against them, that they don't have any understanding. So I realized all these things, and I thought that, well, for somebody who has been writing for the arts and entertainment, I mean, what can I offer in such regards, not just with the legal aspects per se, but I mean, what kind of education can I offer? I mean, how can I be relevant apart from just reporting and writing? How can I be relevant to the system as well? Okay, so that influenced my decision that, God willing, if I find the resources, I will not pursue.
How exactly did your father encourage the habit of writing in you? What were the things he was making you do while growing up that built up the writer in you?
Okay, so I had my primary, let me just say how it all started. So I had my primary education at Datus Complex Schools, and at the time, I think I was in class 3, we used to do this phonetics.
Okay.
So what happened was that our class teacher would come, like during lessons, he would put on like words that are similar. So maybe sleep as in SLEEP and slip as in SLIP. Yes. So what happens is that each student will get up and take a word that are probably similar in pronunciation and then form a sentence with it. So it got to my turn. It was sleep and slip. I got up and I said that I think it was a sentence about somebody stepping on banana peels and slipping. I was supposed to have said slipping, and I said sleeping. And then my classmates burst into laughter, and they were laughing at me. They really laughed at me, so I felt bad. So when I went home, I told my daddy that today I don't like what happened. They were doing English, like this is what happened. So my daddy started writing like words for me, study them, and to know the pronunciation. So he got me a dictionary. So that was how it started. So from that, I started learning the words. Sometimes I'll put them together to write, because he was a writer as well. He would just give me something to write, and then he would access my performance. So I realized that when we go to JSS, I was one of the best English students, because when it came to writing, especially comprehension, I was, if not the best, I'm not blowing my trumpet, but I think that I was the best when it came to English comprehension, because my daddy made a conscious effort for me to get hold of that. So from primary to JSS, I think that was when I developed that interest and the flair. Exactly. Right.
Okay, so was it is it fair for me to conclude that it was because of this that probably you never sought a full-time offer with GBC, but you came to a newspaper house?
I don't know whether it was by fate, because I'm shy of the camera. I'm very shy of the camera. Maybe, because I'm very shy of the camera as well. Exactly.
But what during your national service at GBC? What were you, a general news reporter, or what were you doing?
Yes, I was.
Or did you have on-air opportunity too?
When I was at GBC during my service, I think that I was put on the beat for regional diaries. There was this program they used to do. So what I was, apart from going on the field to report, they give me tapes from the regions I edit. I think I was working with one, Mrs. Suba, I've forgotten her first name, but she was guiding me. And one of the editors, Mr. Pache, I've forgotten his first name, but they were my bosses that I was working directly, and we used to do regional diaries. So most of the time, after we put it together, we have to get some of the news presenters to come and present. So it went on for a while, and the Mrs. Suwa at the time encouraged that, I had the looks, I could present, make some presentation as well. But the truth of the matter is that I'm very camera shy. I would rehearse and do everything, but when the camera is on me, I'll fumble. Fumble. Yeah, exactly. So I just told her that I'm not sure TV is for me. I'm not sure that I will.
Okay, so it means that newspaper is a good opportunity for you to hide your face.
Exactly.
Oh, and that makes you comfortable to be able to express yourself personally.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. What has been, graphic? I had my internship at graphic, so I know you meet a lot of senior colleagues, some of them very experienced, some probably who were 20 years in the profession while you were a little girl or something like that, what has been the benefit for you, or how has your presence there been helped you to develop yourself further as a writer, especially in the midst of all these senior colleagues whose experiences and advice you can tap into to become a better version of yourself?
Okay. I think that I would have to I would have to appreciate my former editor, Nana Benin Jackson. I think that's when I came to showbiz. He put me on my first assignment. It was a major assignment. I don't know how he had that confidence in me that I could cover, but it was a wedding of Judge Kwesy Abuaje. So okay. That was my first. I reported to work on Tuesday, and I think the wedding was on Thursday or something. So he put me on that beat, and I covered it. So I wrote my story, and I presented it to him. So after reading through, he called me, and he told me that I had a very good grasp of the language, and my expressions was perfect. So I had the words. He could see that I had what's the right
potential.
The potential, exactly. So if I put in my best, he would I would be very good. That was what he said, and I thought it was quite encouraging. So he was very, 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 very hard on me, especially when I write and it's not too good or to the standard that he thinks that I could have done. He will call me and tell me that this is your story, dear. It's not the story that I think that's defines exactly. So I always wanted to give my best, give up my best, so that I could meet the standard that he has set for me. So I think that it helped me to develop very early. And then from him, after him was my current editor, Mahyeasea Abuensu. She gave me a lot of work that I mean, like editors will do. So I had to build myself up very fast, to up to the standard that my bosses were setting for me. So I would say it's been challenging, but I would say that it's been inspiring to know that you have bosses that they believed in you, so you have to work harder. What's the standard set for you there?
Let me put you on the spot. If you have an opportunity to come back to this life again, will you choose journalism?
I'll choose journalism when the salary is good.
There we go again.
When the money is good, the money is good.
That means your definition of when the money is good is it should be better than you have now.
Of course, far, far better than I have now.
Fantastic. Now, what has been your highest moment on the job? I mean, the day that something happened and for you, yes, it represented a certain level of satisfaction professionally for you. What has been your highest moment since you started from internship to today?
I've had very good moments, very good moments. But I think that one of the things that I remember, it might not be directly related to my work, but I think that's when my former editor was leaving. He put a sheet, right, of what he had worn. I think when he was passing by, he put it on my keyboard. And then he told me to look at what he's doing. And he's expecting that should I retire from journalism, I would beat his achievement.
Whoa.
I was like, of all the people, you want me to beat this? He wants me to beat this plenty achievement. So I was like, okay, that means that he has a lot of confidence in me. So I don't have to feel, not just him, maybe the others who think that I have a lot of potential. So maybe it was a sense of satisfaction to me that at least I was doing something right, or for such a man of repute and somebody who was a giant in what I was doing to think that I could beat his record.
Wow. Okay. Now, was there a point in your line of duty that things virtually came to a head and you wished probably you were in some other profession, or you really almost decided that I can't do this anymore?
Not really, not really. Maybe I would want to, not really, because you know, the journalism, like I told you already, the things, I mean, the what you get from it is not good. So if you don't make that, this is what I want to do, you would always get discouraged. That is the truth. So I remember in my early professional career, I went to interview Professor Lajibo Sono, he's a poet. I was chatting with him and I was telling him about some of the challenges, like sometimes you have to give up because you think that the money is no good, blah, blah, blah. And then he told me something that has been my guide. He told me that, you see, what you are doing, if you see it as work, it will tiring for you. But if you see it as a hobby that brings you happiness, it would give you a different meaning into what you are doing. So when you see it as work, that you are making money from it, you would realize that what you are giving, little comes and you will not have that sense of satisfaction. So it will be better for you to see it as a hobby that brings you happiness or some sense of satisfaction. And I think that it was a solid advice that has been my, should I say, my guide for like 7, 8 years now. That sometimes, yes, you get discouraged, especially when you want to get some of my celebrities to interview, because some of them can be very, very arrogant, especially when you want the name. I mean, like you said, if you think that this is a hobby you're doing, you see it as a hobby that will bring you happiness, you'd overlook some of all these challenges and it will put a smile on your face, at least when you achieve what you want. Exactly.
Journalists hardly have a social life. And in the peculiar field you find yourself, which is loaded with a lot of events and activities, I can imagine social life is something that is completely missing out of you. How are you coping? How are you managing?
Yeah, we don't have a social life, it's true. But for the fact that I was in arts and entertainment, I'm not sure that as a person myself, if there's an event, I would want to step out because I love to be indoors. So maybe it's because I'm in the art and entertainment, I'm required or per my job description to cover some events. So me not having a social life is not really a bother, just that sometimes it takes much of the time that you could have had for yourself.
Now, does your job also involve a lot of traveling, especially with the aspects of tourism? How much of traveling is involved?
Okay, as an outside domestic tourism or outside?
Whether locally or out of the country, whichever.
Oh, okay. Domestic, graphic. Yeah, I've been to Kwewu a couple of times. Sometimes you go out, exactly. But graphic, we have other reporters. So in cases that we, like in other regions, we decide to contact our reporters in other regions to save the Accra reporter. Unless it is important or we think that the reporter there cannot handle it, that's the only time that you are required to go outside. But for that, travels, maybe it's just Accra that we do most of the thing, but for traveling, for my kind, I don't think I've traveled so much. Like the demand has been so high or overbearing for me.
Okay, so now you've done how many years in journalism since you completed school?
Okay, I completed my diploma in, so I started professional journalism from 2009 when I did my service at GBC. So from 2009 to now, it should be 11 years.
11 years. Okay. How many more years are you seeking to go with journalism?
The Bible says that. All right. Let God order my steps.
Very well. Very well. if tomorrow a much younger person walks up to you and says, oh, I want to be a journalist in future, would you encourage the person to go into journalism?
Yeah, I will. I will. Before I say this, sometimes you would want to give up because you think that probably, like I said, the income of what's coming in is not doesn't befit maybe
Yeah.
the work you put in. But sometimes too, I look at some of our senior colleagues, and I think that for those that they worked hard and were diligent with what they did, I don't think that their current situation is that bad. You understand? So I think that yeah, it might not be good, but if you work hard and very diligent and very focused, I think that you can make something worthwhile. It might not be necessarily from what you're doing, but I mean, if like I'm a writer, if I get people to contact to do professional work for them, it can be other avenues to make income. And let's not forget that journalists get the opportunity to meet people of influence. So if you are a smart person, you would know how to take advantage of such relationships that you meet with people that, well, people who are not journalists might not have. So I don't think that it is that bad. Exactly. I mean, you should be able to see the chances and how you can make the best out of every situation that is presented. It might not necessarily be money exactly, but I mean, it could be worth. I mean, there could be something that you could take relationship, like quality of relationship, people you could meet. I mean, not necessarily in terms of money as a physical cost, but I think that there are relationships you could build that would be more worth more than money.
I see. Is it still going to be print journaling for all the years that you want to do beyond here, which you say is in God's hands, or that one is also in God's hands?
Print journalism. I'm not sure. Print journalism. Guy, maybe broadcast. But as for TV, yeah.
You said somebody told you at JBC you have what it takes to do TV, yeah. Or you don't believe that statement was strong enough?
Oh, she said I have the looks, but it's not just looks. I mean, you should be comfortable with it as well. So there are people that many young people would want to be on TV. That's fine, but I'm not sure that I think that it affects your privacy and all that. And I'm somebody that would want to be on my, not coil per se, but I mean work behind the scenes. So I don't like to be in people's faces. That's not my. So I'm not really a TV person yet.
Is there anybody, any journalist, senior journalist that you looked up to even before you started practice? Maybe through the time you were taking the decision to come to journalism school and all that, were there some senior colleagues you looked up to who inspired you?
Interesting. All those who inspired me were TV presenters like Yanti, exactly. Well, like it was nice.
Yeah.
When I saw them drinking, but it wasn't but it wasn't something that I thought that yes, I wanted to do journalism. Okay, but it wasn't that I want to do journalism that also sits in front of the TV. But it was something that I admired, exactly. Yeah, I admired. But when it came to print, I used to read a lot of columns. Like columnists, like I mentioned, Maria Lomile. I used to read him from Showbase. We had a letter from Sandra.
Okay.
We had a columnist, letter from Sandra. I used to read it a lot, and I used to read Francis Doku too. I think then he's also a columnist. It was then a reporter. I used to read his column as well. So I think the columnist inspired me when it came to print journalism more. Yeah, exactly. But I love the style. I loved how they express themselves, how they use the language. Exactly. It was most of them too because they were writing for perspective, and it was interesting to read. So yeah, so I think, and I was like, one day I would want to write and I'll be published like this. Somebody would read my article and also get inspired or something. So yeah, the columnists inspired me. Apart from the TV presenters, it was just for the glam and the beauty of it. But when it came to what really inspired me to go into journalism, it was for the writers. Yeah.
Are there some things you wish you knew before you started practice? Some things you know today, which you wish you knew at the beginning of practice?
Okay. Journalism. Before it was a profession that I thought, because like I said, you see the young teachers well dressed and she's speaking hot and glamorous. You think that they're making good money. But it's not exactly like that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if you don't make up your mind that this is something that you want to do, that you want to be important in this field and see it as a hobby, you would easily get discouraged. So maybe the income part, yeah.
How many days do you have for yourself in the week?
For Shoebase, we do a lot of weekend assignments.
Okay.
Lots of weekend assignments. So I work from Monday to Friday. When you have assignments, you have to go cover. So how many days I have in a week? This everybody leave, like when I'm on leave or something. But like time for yourself.
What is the longest period you have stayed in the office or maybe at work? Let's say you came to work at 7 o'clock in the morning and you arrived home on the next day around, let's say.
Yeah, it happens when, like during this time like this. Tomorrow I'm going to cover BIM concerts. I'll come to work in the morning, and when I come to work in the evening, I have to go and cover. And this is not an event that will start early. They will probably be starting around 9 and close the next day. So I know that when I come to work, I'm getting home on Wednesday morning. So it's normal. it's not. I mean, for my field, it's normal. I mean, during these times, during vacations, you know that you can come to work and get home the next day because you may be put on an assignment or you have an assignment that you'll be done the next day. So it is not just once in a while. It happens it happens frequently. So.
Okay, so in that circumstance, when you are done with the event at dawn, and do you come to the office to do your story before you go home, or you go home and then later you would come to the office?
We can do it and send it to the editor, depending on the time. Like Wednesday, for instance, is production. If I want to wait till I come to the office, because it's production, I will delay. So it means that when I get home, I have to forward it through mail to the editor so that at least you work on it before I come to the office. Because if I get home in the morning, I'm not sure I'll be able to make it as early as 8 because I'll be tired. And if I say I want to rest and maybe get to the office like 10, I'll delay production. So it means that right after the event, I have to file my report and send it to the editor. So
how difficult? How difficult was it transitioning from the classroom to the field? A lot of the time you go to for a course, you learn, and later when you get onto the field, you realize there are two realities. What was taught in the classroom is not exactly what is happening on the field. And sometimes you need a lot of learning and relearning to be able to remain relevant on the field. How difficult was it for you transitioning from the classroom to the field?
Okay, you know that I think that every media house probably they have their style of writing. Like graphics, we have our style of writing.
Yes.
So in jhay, you'll be told that 5 W's and 1 H, and also in your head when you come to write a story, that's what you have in your head. Yes. So you come out and you are doing the story, so you are thinking of how to, arrange it, the 5 W's. But you realize that on the field, everybody has the style, so it's not necessarily 5 W's. Even though yes, some of them you must answer to some of these things. It doesn't necessarily have to follow that, So Yes, that was the difficulty. But I think that I was fortunate because I worked GBC, they were very professionals and all those things. So it was easier. My only challenge was that because I worked at GBC, that was broadcast, and we used to write it active. When I went to Times for Print, I had a lot of difficulty because, in print it's reported speech.
That's right.
And in broadcast, it's not reported speech, it is active.
Yes.
So it was quite difficult. So I was still doing the broadcast. Exactly. So it took a while for me to adjust to do the reported speech for print. I think that was my only challenge on the field. But apart from that, I was okay.
Yeah. I'm sure you may or may not know, but for every profession and for every professional, there may be one or two people that are looking up to you because of what you do. Should you get to meet somebody who tells you, oh, I follow your stories a lot, I follow your writings, I read your reports a lot and all that. And then the person says, okay, so I'm also thinking of becoming a journalist in the show-based industry. What advice would you give that person?
Most of the time, especially when our interns and service people come, first of all, I would ask you, do you have an interest? I think that I've been able to come this far because I had an interest, even though I was not pursuing that professionally. I had the interest. So because this is a niche area, it is not. Yes. You must have the interest before, otherwise it will be frustrating for you. So first of all, I would ask you, do you have an interest in the arts and entertainment? That should answer your question. If you have an interest, that's fine. Otherwise, you have no business being there because it will be frustrating for you. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. You deal with celebrities, public figures, and people in the news all the time. You talked earlier on, you talked about arrogance and, of course, matters of egos and all that. What is the worst you have received from a celebrity? The worst? Was it humiliation, outright disrespect, insult, or what is the worst? Or you have been favored?
Maybe I should say I've been favored. Or maybe I know how to handle such situation. Maybe I know how to handle such situation without getting worse. Human beings, sometimes we are complex. It's not just limited to our celebrities. We understand, and we come from different backgrounds and different attitudes. So yes, sometimes you get a bit of the attitude, but I think that if you are able to handle it well, like I said, there are egos. Okay, so if the person puts up an attitude, I need the information. If I put up an attitude, we are going to, there's going to be fireworks, and I have something that I need to achieve. Mine is to get the information. So whatever I will do to get it from you, I think that I have to do it without necessarily antagonizing you in the same way that you have antagonizing. And you realize that when you take such an approach, they come down and they are more reasonable to work with you. I think that's basically the tactics I've been using so far. Because it's not just limited to our celebs, it's just the human nature. Some people are just complex and they have attitudes, so everywhere they want to display that. But if you have the goal to achieve, you not let that be a hindrance or exactly.
Let me put you on the spot. Who is your favorite gospel musician?
For now, it's Gifty Owusu-Amoah. For now.
Okay, for now. How long is he going to stay on the top of the charts?
There was somebody there before he came, so when I find another person, I'll replace him.
Okay, who is your favorite secular artist?
My favorite
music.
Music, I think I'll go for Chame Kwame.
Chame Kwame. What is your favorite tourism destination in Ghana?
Accra.
Who is your favorite movie character, male?
In Ghana?
Yes.
In Ghana, Magic Michelle.
And who is your favorite movie character, female? In Nigeria, who is your favorite movie character?
In Nigeria, I'll go for this Monday. But I have a new Raymond emoji. I have new ones, but I think this one stands out for me.
And the female will be what? Female will be what for Nigeria?
Female, I would go for potential.
Okay. For her, she's alone, no other contender, right?
Oh, there are some of the young people are coming up, but Kate. I have Kate. I have Omotola. I like Omotola as well. There are a few others, but Kate, and then Chioma-Chukwuka.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Comedy is a big thing in Nigeria. It's almost an industry in Nigeria. In Ghana, it is picking up. In fact, the likes of KSM have had to, raise the bar for stand-up comedy. And today we have the likes of Obi and Ponsa, comedian Warix and the likes. Who is your favorite?
My favorite is Lex.
I just hope I'm not getting you into trouble.
No, you won't get me into trouble. They know he's my favorite. Lexi, I like Lexi. Maybe my two favorites will be Lexi and Obi. They both have their strengths. Lexi is very good with impressions. Obi, I don't know whether it's because of his medical background, but he's quite deep with his jokes. He would say a joke that you wouldn't think that somebody would think of this. I think that's his strength. But Lexi is equally good. He is very good with impressions. And so they are both my favorites. But if I'm forced to choose one, I'll go for Lexi. Yeah.
What is your favorite gospel music?
My favorite gospel is the song. It's a song that talks about how God is a destiny changer.
I'm talking Ghana, so let me take
Yes, I know.
Yes.
I like my Ghanaian songs, so that's what I was talking about.
Okay, so what's your favorite secular?
Yesu bese sanwo shebre.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that's right.
My favorite song.
What about secular?
Secular, I'll go for Ochame Kwame's Oso.
Okay.
Oso. Yeah.
What is your favorite Ghanaian movie?
My favorite Ghanaian movie. My favorite Ghanaian movie. I'm not a Ghanaian movie person like that. If you ask me Hollywood, I would know. If you ask me Niger, I would know. Ghana, let me see. I don't remember watching Ghanaian movie recent times.
Okay, so what would be your favorite comedy by a Ghanaian comedian? The one that probably nearly threw you off your seat onto the floor.
Like a comedy?
Yes.
Movie or?
No, I'm talking about a joke by a Ghanaian comedian.
Oh, a joke by a Ghanaian.
The most rib-cracking one you've ever heard.
Yeah, I think that one. And also, let me see the one that really comes by, because I was at Obi's comedy event. I think there was one on. There was one that Lexi said about how the rich and the poor get massage. So like the rich person would go to maybe a spa and then get a professional, but the poor daddy would call the children and then he would lie down and tell the children to jump on him.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I think
how many of the musicians from Nigeria have you had the opportunity to maybe interview or interact with for a report?
Not many. I think that there was a Davido concert last 2 years. I think that one. The truth of the matter is that my editors don't normally put me on concert.
Okay.
No, exactly. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't really put me on, so I don't get to If like
maybe they have identified your faults, so they prefer you focus on that.
Yes, exactly. I think so. So you don't normally focus on that. So yeah, I maybe like big that will have international. I'm not the one that will be put on it. Maybe if it has to do with other areas, but major concepts, but I get other.
Okay. If you have the opportunity to travel to any African country of your choice, spend 1 week and interview 5 celebrities, 5 males, 5 females, which country will it be? Who are the males? Who are the females?
Just say it yourself. Just say it. You should know now.
You go to Nigeria.
Of course. I'll go to Nigeria.
Okay,
I'll choose Nigeria.
Okay, so who will make your list for the 5 males and who will make it for the 5 females?
For music, I'll mix music, and I think that for female, I'll go for writer Chidima, the writer, the feminist. So yeah, I'll go for her. When it comes to movies, I would go for Genevieve. I would probably go for Kate Henschel.
Yes, your 5 is exhausted for females.
No, I've mentioned 3.
I've mentioned 3. No, I am talking about celebrities generally.
Oh, generally, okay.
So generally,
I've mentioned
3.
3.
5 females, 5 males.
Yes.
Okay, you've mentioned 3. Add the 2 for the females.
The female. So I would want to interview Asa, the musician.
Okay.
Yes, and probably I would want to Chidima, the lady that was doing secular, is now doing gospel music.
Okay. So the males?
The males, I would go for Desmond. I'll go for Ramsey. I will go for Davido. I will go for Benna Boy. And I will go for this boy, Raymond Dimodi. He's an actor.
Oh, okay. Now, which Ghanaian musician, gospel or secular, has the best stagecraft to you? Gospel or secular, which Ghanaian musician, male, let's talk male now, has the best stagecraft? That is Samini. Okay, so for female?
For female, I will go for female. Probably Pakistan.
Okay. Which celebrity do you wish to, if you are given the opportunity, which celebrity in Ghana would you want to sit with for an interview? That you will see it as a dream come true interview.
Celebrity. Dream come true. Don't check the big things that I'm not interview.
Let's use these distinctions. For males, you are giving me 2, and for females, you give me 2.
I've interviewed them before, or I still want.
No, you haven't. You haven't had the opportunity,
at all.
But you really wish you can. 2.
Okay. Celebrities. I think that I've not interviewed Majid Michelle before.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've not interviewed Majid before. I think the one I did was on phone. I've not interviewed Majid before. I've not met him as in like have one-on-one.
Yeah.
But, celebrities. Who else? Don't come to my door.
While you wait to top up for the males, you can look at the females too.
The females, maybe is it limited to just musicians? And I'm sure we can open up.
Once the person is a celebrity, it could even be a media figure or whatever.
A politician, exactly.
I mean limited to your field as showbiz.
My field.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe another number.
Okay.
Another.
And who will be the second?
I wanted to mention Bella, but I've interviewed Bella a number of times.
Okay.
But I just love that girl. I admire her.
Maybe
I would want to sit, not necessarily to interview her, but to talk to her like
informally.
Bella. Informally, maybe Bella.
Okay, so let's go back to the male. You are left with one.
Male, Salah. Okay, I'm looking at media. This Gary Owusu-Amoah. He was a year ahead of me at jhay.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He was a year ahead of me at jhay.
Okay, that's interesting. It's been exciting talking to you this morning. I think this is my first early morning shot on this PENSDOWN program, and I think I've enjoyed every bit of it, especially for your choices. I just hope it doesn't create controversy out there. Anyway, you showbiz people are always controversial. You are like the sports people. I'm truly grateful for your time, and thank you very much for having time with us on PENSDOWN. Also to our viewers, we are grateful for your time. Thanks for joining us. Next time we are going to come again with another journalist who will be talking to us about his or her journalism journey. Now that we have broken the male dominance, I know there is more to come. Just stay tuned and please be sure to subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Stephen Jesse Jr. and this has been PENSDOWN. Keep well.